Hello YouTube and vinyl community, I'm Jeff Paris and welcome to the Vinyl Record Info channel. And today we're going to talk about records that are always trashed. So for whatever reason, you know, there are certain records out in the the record world that they're just always beat up. Always. For one reason or another. Then, you know, not every record's beat up for the same reason. But if you know, you know. You know, you're out there at garage sales or at your local record store, you're flipping through, and you're always going to come across the same records that are always beat, and it's just the way it is. And finding a very, very clean one is, you know, when you do find one, it's, you know, you snag it because they're always beat up. So some of these records I have that I feel like are always trashed every time I find them. Some of these were like some of the first records in my collection, so they actually are trashed. You know, it kind of just depends where you are in your record collecting journey, because, you know, in the beginning you may be collecting only trashed records because that's the only ones you get your hands on. You know, you collect what you can get, and I totally understand that, because when I first started collecting around like 2004, you know, I went to AMVETS and Goodwill and places like that, and you know, but back then you could find real rock albums there, but, you know, they're always beat up. You know, it's just, you know, donated records and whatnot. So, but, you know, even in some record stores, you go in the dollar bin, you know, some of that stuff's gonna be pretty beat up, and they're just trying to get rid of some inventory. But yeah, so some of these records are actually beat up that I have. Some of these are my copies that I play. They're like keeper copy, right? So they're like in very nice condition, but a lot of times you'll find them pretty beat up. So the first one I'm going to show you is that kind of circumstance, and that is ACDC, Back in Black. Now, I think the reason why a lot of these are beat is because, one, black covers. Anytime you have a record that's like all black cover, or has a lot of black in the cover, it's more prone to ring wear. Just because when that rubs, when that black ink starts to rub away, it's just way more pronounced. I mean, because behind it is cardboard, right? So you could just see it a lot easier. Like the color contrast between the ring wear and the record itself is, you know, just more apparent. So they just look a little bit more beat up than they usually are. And then the second reason is because this record jams. I mean, it was partied with. It was, you know, played a lot. So it was just a very, very, very popular record, Back in Black. So it has a ton of killer tracks on it. So this one, however, is beautiful. This is an original press on the Atlantic in the shrink still. Because I really like this record a lot, so I wanted a very, very clean one. So this one's near mint, beautiful. But, you know, a lot of times you're going to find these trashed. And luckily enough, the sound is, you know, they're jamming so hard that they could break through some crackle, some light hairlines on that record. Okay, number two is, I think, probably the shining example of this topic. I just do not find these clean out in the wild. I'm not going to buy one online because this is a very popular record. You know, so if I ever do find one, I'm going to find it at a record store or garage sale or whatever. But that's Iron Butterfly, Inagata Deita. These are always trashed. Always. I mean, it is, again, black cover. Again, it was a very popular album and played a whole bunch. It was on Atco. You know, you could tell, you know, it's kind of hard with the shine of the outer sleeve. But, you know, this one's pretty beat up too. That's not great. And honestly, this is, you know, I feel like this is not a bad copy for Inagata Deita, but it's just always trashed, always. I find these all the time. I can go to any record store right now. I can go to any garage sale probably and still find this record, but it's going to be beat up. But it's just crazy. Okay, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Cosmos Factory. Again, you know, always trashed every time you see. This always has really bad ring wear too, and this is like one of my favorite CTR albums too. So this is a really nice copy. This is VG Plus original press on Fantasy, but a lot of the times this sucker's beat up. But I love CCR. CCR is one of my favorite bands of all time. You know, I have every CCR record there is, and you know, this is definitely one of my favorite ones, though. Yeah, but tough to find one very, very clean. Okay, this is Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. This is an original press on that 6i Columbia. This is a mono, and you know, these are decently rare. You know, they're a little bit expensive. I mean, they are expensive. I'm not saying a little bit. They are expensive, and they're tough to find. And when you do, they're typically beat up pretty good. Again, you know, you're seeing the theme here, but black cover, so the ring wear is usually pretty bad. Second thing is this record's very, very old, right? I mean, it's from the 1950s, so you know, the older it gets, the more likely it is it's going to be beat up. And you know, and again, this is one of the most popular jazz albums of all time, so people played it a lot. The more you play it, you know, the more prone it is to scratches and whatnot. So this is a pretty good, clean copy. I'm very very happy with this one. I'm not a jazz record collector by any means. I'm doing my level best to stay out of the jazz rabbit hole. I'm holding strong, but I do hear it calling my name every once in a while, so I have to fight it off. But you know, I have some of the quintessential ones like this, but you know, I'm by no means a jazz record collector. But this one's usually beat up pretty good, and I got a crazy good deal on this one too, so I was pretty pumped about that. Okay, after Inagata Deita, I feel like this is the number 2 prime example of records that are always trashed, and that is Cream, Disraeli Gears. This sucker's just always trashed. For some reason, I always just feel like that it's like less of an issue with ring wear with these ones, but they're always falling apart. I don't know why. Like every single one I find is like the glue's all gone, the whole cover's falling apart. I mean, this one is absolutely trashed. It looks better than it is because it's in the outer sleeve, but it's not. It's bad. It's nothing good. This one's, you know, a G copy. I was able to find this one. This is much, much, much cleaner. It's still not, you know, yeah, it's not unbelievable. It's not like near mint or anything, but this is, I'm happy with it. Clean as gotta get for me. Again, another record that you can find at every record store right now. But when you do find them, they're usually trash pretty good. So if you see one in, you know, VG Plus or better, snag it because they're kind of tough to find, honestly. Clean anyway. They're not tough to find. That's an easy record to find, trust me. But it's tough to find clean for sure. Another one, Billy Joel, Stranger. Again, dark cover. I mean, this one's bad too. Just a ton of creases, and you got some ring wear going, and you know. But like I said, this is a lot of these records are from when I got them back in the early 2000s. You know, so these are some of the first records in my collection. This one certainly was, but it's another one that was, you know, super popular, played a lot, so I got beat up. All right, another obvious one, the Beatles' White Album. So this is an original U.S. press on the Apple label. This one's cool because it has all 7 airs on the labels. And I did a vinyl deep dive episode on this record, so go check that one out if you don't know what I'm talking about. But there are 7 airs on all the labels on this, so I deep dive into that. But this one's always trash for the obvious reason. It's an all-white album, right? So just think about it. If you're wearing all white anywhere, you're going to get dirty. Same goes for a record, especially one as popular as this. You know, you set this thing down somewhere by accident, and it's going to have a stain on it. So this one's no exception. This one is pretty beat up. I got this one at a record store. It was cheap. And then I found out it had all 7 airs. I thought that was really cool. And, you know, I like it. I like the White Album a lot, but I'm not crazy. I'm not a Beatles fanatic. Like I wouldn't even really consider myself a Beatles like record collector. I have a bunch of Beatles records, but like I don't intend to like have their whole catalog, or I don't go out seeking Beatles records. If I stumble upon them, then you know, maybe I'll get it if I don't have it. But you know, I'm just not a Beatles fanatic. So you know, if I ever stumbled upon a very clean White Album, cleaner than this one, you know, maybe I'll snag it. But I'm just, you know, I'm fine with this one. I'm not worried about it. The discs are just fine. All right, this is the Almond Brothers, Eat a Peach. This one is always beat up, I think, just because it just played a lot. I mean, this is kind of the quintessential Almond Brothers record, Eat a Peach. It's got Melissa on it. Everybody knows that one from Guitar Hero. But and then this one is no exception. This is all beat up as well. I got tape going on this one. There's all kinds of stuff happening on this one, but I got this very cheap, just north of San Diego. This guy, I think in Ocean Beach, this guy has like basically a record shop out of his garage. So I got it from there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, and then you have gimmick covers, and they're usually trashed. One, because the gimmick doesn't work, and two, a lot of the gimmick cover ones are just kind of popular. So, for example, you have the Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. This is how I store mine. So there is a zipper right here. If you don't, I mean, I'm sure you know this, but there's a zipper right there. So this is kind of a gimmicky cover. Try to find one that, you know, zips up and down. However, when I store my records, I don't want that zipper digging into the record next to it, so I just keep like a little cloth right there in front of the zipper so that when I store it, it's okay. But this one is not in great shape either. This one's actually pretty bad. I got it in the same place that I got the Eat a Peach from, at that record store inside a guy's garage, and you know, but I'm happy with it. The zipper's all right, and you know, it's a little beat up, but it's a good copy. It plays fine, so it's a VG copy, but this one's always beat up because the zipper doesn't work, and people really want that zipper. So, and plus, like later reissues, it was just flat. It was just a picture. There was no more zipper or anything like that. But that's good. Next one is Hawkwind, In Search of Space. So this is like another gimmick cover where basically it opens up in like a kind of a trifold, but the way that this is, I'm not going to take it out because this one's pretty beat up too, but it's at least intact, so I don't want to take it out and mess with it. But basically, the trifold cover though, it's like interlinked like this. So if you open it wrong, or if you just open it hastily, these arms always rip off. I mean, when you find this out in the wild, typically at least one of these arms is torn or just ripped completely off, because you got to be a little bit delicate when you open the trifold like that. But and just people weren't doing that. This is a killer space rock album, so people are just, you know, opening it up. But it's cool. I like it. Okay, the last gimmick cover I'm going to show you is the Soft Machine, self-titled. Really, really great record. You know, pretty experimental, but you know, I think everybody could enjoy this one. But there is it's kind of like a dial in here, so similar to Led Zeppelin 3 with a pinwheel. Same thing goes with this one. You know, you spin it back here, and you see the different pictures. But what ends up happening a lot is, one, the wheel is missing, right? Somebody just took it and threw it away or whatever. It's just missing. So it's just like it's just the front part here and it's a circle, nothing there. And then, and a lot of the times, the space in between the front of the wheel is just like, it's narrow paper, right? In between each like hole to see the pictures. So these are ripped all the time, right? You know, people pick it up by it, or, you know, get it snagged on something, whatever. But, you know, so these kind of, think the Windows and Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin. You know, it's just like the window frames are just kind of small, narrow, like cardboard paper, right? So kind of similar with these. It's just they rip a lot, or the wheel's missing. So this is another one. I don't know why, but Yes Songs. It's kind of like a couple volume thing. It's always trashed. I don't really know why on this one. When I find these, I feel like they're always beat up. Maybe because I don't know. I'm not sure why this one. I mean, just it's heavy. It opens up. It's another trifold at least, or maybe even 4 panels. But yeah, I mean it's a 4 disc, I think. So, but these are always trash for whatever reason. It's kind of hard to find super clean. I got this one at a pop-up record thing. It was only a few bucks, but the vinyl's alright. So, all right, the next one is Led Zeppelin 2. Now you can find clean copies of Led Zeppelin 2. That's not a big deal. But this is the famous Robert Ludwig hot press or hot mix. So basically, if you haven't heard before, Robert Ludwig was the sound engineer for Led Zeppelin 2. And the way you can tell if it's Robert Ludwig or not is in the dead wax here. It'll have his initials RL in it. That's how you know you have Robert Ludwig, Led Zeppelin 2. But legend goes that he, a producer from Atlantic, took the record home before it came out, and he played it on his daughter's cheap turntable, and the mix was so loud that it made her needle jump on the cheap record table. So he went back and said, change it, lower the volume basically, and then the rest of them came out. However, there were some that got out. There's a decent amount. You can find these. They're pretty rare, but they're out there. So I think a decent amount of them got out. But there is a noticeable sound quality difference between the RLs and the regular Led Zeppelin 2s. That's why they're so desirable if they're RL, because it's basically, it sounds how it was meant to be sound. Strong, powerful. Instruments and vocals very loud. I mean, that's this is a jamming record, so you want to have a mix like that. So, but they are always notoriously trashed. Finding a clean RL is very, very difficult. Getting a RL period is hard. Getting a very clean VG Plus or above copy of an RL is very difficult. This is a VG copy. This is, I'm completely happy with this one. I've seen some a lot worse than this one, and this is an enjoyable listen. And, the crackle gets overpowered by the music anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm happy with the VG copy. If I ever stumbled across a very nice one, I'd be pumped, obviously, but I'm good with this one. But these are just notoriously always trashed. They're partied with, played hard. They're always trashed. So finding a very, very clean one, it would be really, really cool. And the last one I want to show you is Van Morrison Moondance. Now, I don't know why, but this one is also always beat up, and the vinyl's always scratched up. This is always super worn, and I love this record so much. So I'm very, very happy that I found a decently clean one like this. This is an original press on that green Warner Brother label, but these are getting harder and harder to find. I feel like people just buy these, and those records so good that they just keep it. So it's don't get me wrong. This is not. I wouldn't consider this a rare record, right? This is findable. You can reasonably find this at a record store. But I'm just saying, I do feel like it's getting harder and harder to find a clean one anyway out in the wild. So, but this record's fantastic. All right, so that's gonna do it. I'd love to hear your guys' take on what is the most often trash record. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you guys say about that, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.